Hello, everybody. Christopher here with the Lunchroom Syndicate. React to the Jags win today. That's right. The Jags won. The freaking Jacksonville Jaguars won. I'm I'm at a loss. I'm at a shock. I can't believe it. The 20 game win streak or the 20 game losing streak. I'm so flustered. Is over. And I waited a few hours before I talk about this. I I don't know what to say other than thankfully it's over. You know, this was been a hard run. Losing 20 in a row and just having that hang over your head as a fan sucks. I can only imagine as a player, especially the players who have been on this team since last year. I can't. I'm gonna fix the camera. This is gonna be a one taker, so I'm not editing. To get it out of the way, to get Urban's first win right before the bye. That was huge. This coming into this week, I genuinely felt like this was the biggest regular season game the Jaguars played since they played New England in 2018. If you real quick summary of that, that was week 2 of 2018, right after the 2017 AFC title game where the Jags lost, and the Jags dominated that game. And that was a huge game. The Jags would go on to lose next week, win against the Jets, and then we all know what happened. The wheels fell off, and here we are, 3 years later. But this game wasn't important. I want to make this clear. This game wasn't important because of playoff implications. This game is virtually meaningless on playoff implications. There's a very slim possibility that this game means something for playoffs if other teams' tiebreakers get to some craziness. And I'm not going into that right now. I'm making a project on that. Hopefully get done in the next few weeks. But but it means more than that to the Jacksonville Jaguars. It means more than that to go into the bye week. To get into the bye week with a victory, get that losing streak done. Look, the Jaguars are not a good team, and they ain't gonna suddenly go on a weird run where they make a playoff run. That's not gonna happen. I'm aware of that. And they could go 1-16 the rest of the way. I'm aware of that. And you know what? I would be perfectly content. Well, not content. I'd be mad, but I'd be happy that we didn't break the all-time losing streak because realistically, the Jags. There was a good chance the Jags would, if they lost this game to Miami, who might be playing some of the worst football in years compared to some other teams. I mean, they are playing terrible football. And they're not a horrible team. Like, they went 10-6 last year. I don't know what. Everything's falling apart for them. But the Jags' schedule after the bye gets... Well, it looked more daunting than it ends up being, but still pretty daunting. This would have been 21 if they had lost. They got the Seahawks on the road. They've never won there. They got the Bills, who do look like a good freaking team and look like the best team in the league outside of maybe Arizona and the Rams. Then San Francisco, whose record may not show as good as they are, but they've been kind of struggling with injuries again. The Falcons, they're not a very good team. And then the game that would have broke the record, the Jalen Ramsey and the Rams in December, that would have been just kind of poetic justice. But we don't have to worry about that now. We don't have to worry about the Jags losing 27 in a row because the Jags broke the streak in London because I guess naturally it has to happen that way. So the Jags still have a 20-game losing streak in the U.S. That's a thing. But I'm happy they won. I'm happy for James Robinson. I'm happy for all the guys there. I'm thrilled to see them win a game that was winnable and end the streak, because I who knows how long the streak lasts if they lose this game. They go in that bye week with such a bad taste in their mouth with just everything that's happened this season with Urban and the season and just how bad things have been. But they finally get off the schneid. Let's talk about the game a little bit. I watched from midway through this third quarter. It was after the 28-yard touchdown pass by Trevor Lawrence. Pretty much through the rest of the game with some hits and misses here. Nothing stood out on both sides, other than both teams aren't very good. Again, getting James Robinson involved is huge. He had 3 catches today, so they're getting him a little bit more involved in the passing game, but still, I'd like to see a little bit more, but he had 4 targets. He did have one incompletion towards him. Trevor Lawrence looked a lot better. Although when I was watching, Miami seemed to go into basically one front, and they just had every like 6, 7, 8 guys on the line said, "Hey, Trevor," and the offensive line figured it out. And the Jags really had trouble with that. They seemed to have a hard time to figure out who to block, and at times Trevor was just I was under a lot of pressure during that stretch. So you need some work on some communication. I know there's injuries. I know there's issues there. So that is something to look for. Keep watching the future, if you will. What? But yeah. So going forward for the Jags, what does this mean? Where are we at with everything? Well, to be frank, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the Dallas New England game that's just outrageous right now. So going forward, so now that's over, right? The Jags have been playing better. They have been more competitive in the last few games. They nearly beat the Bengals, who can really look good at times and other times not so good. So what's next? Where does the Jaguars go? What's the goals? Number one, stay competitive. You got a somewhat difficult schedule coming up. You got some winnable games here. You got the Colts twice. They're okay. They should be better. A lot of people think they should be better than they are, and I tend to agree with that. You got Tennessee again, but you do have teams like the Falcons, Houston's on there, the Jets are on there. Let's try to get now that because you're not beating the Bills, and even though the Seahawks don't have Russell Wilson, maybe that's a winnable game now. But the Jags have never played well. Like, it's not even the fact they've never won in Seattle, which is one thing. They've never really played well. They've been blown out, and it's been bad. But there's winnable games here for the rest of the way. Let's make progress. Look, I'm not saying this team needs to win 7 or 8 games, but let's win 3. Let's win 4. Let's make some progress the rest of the way. We don't have that massive losing streak hanging over the head anymore. Let's play a little bit looser. Let's play a little bit better. Few things about the game as well. Marvin Jones had 100 yards on 7 catches, still looking like one of the best offensive weapons on the team outside of James Robinson. Trevor Lawrence had a really good game, 25-41. Not great percentage, but we'll take it. 319 and a touchdown. He had a couple sacks. I think he also had a lost fumble, so he did have a turnover, but only one. James Robinson was the workhorse back, 17 rushes for 73 yards and a TD. He also added 28 yards and 3 receptions, as I said before. Jamal Agnew had 5 for 78, and there's some list of other guys. But yeah, I mean, look, I'm not going to sit here and convince anybody that the Jags are a good team. They're not. They're one of the worst for a reason. With that said, as I said, moving forward, there's some winnable games here. Defense at times has looked good, and at times has looked like they have no idea what you're doing. Let's clear that up. A lot of these things are getting cleaned up now. A lot of things that happened in the first couple of games of the season are starting to dissipate a bit. The Jags did have 8 penalties. Not great, but only 54 yards. They didn't have huge penalties, which is good. Only 1 turnover today. They were only 3 for 12 on 3rd down. That's bad. And Miami was 9 for 17. That's not great either. We like to see the Jaguars numbers go up and Dolphin numbers go down. Although the Jags were 2 for 3 on 4th down, so it's effectively more like 5 for 15 between 3rd and 4th downs. Not great. But speaking of 4th down, let's talk about that one play, that one drive, that one 4th down that everyone's going to be talking about, despite the fact the Jags went 2 for 3 on 4th down. The one on 4th and 1 where they could have kicked a chip shot field goal, but at this point they only kicked the one field goal, and they weren't trusting field goal kickers right now. The Jags decided to go for it with a pretty basic run play, and didn't get it. They got blown up. It was bad. It looked like the Dolphins genuinely knew what was coming. And a lot of people, including the broadcasters, gave them some crap for that. Like, oh, they should kick field goal, make it a 7-point game. I disagree. I know a lot of people wouldn't, but there was still like 10 minutes left anyway. But you go for that. If you're an NFL team on 4th and 1 and like decide 10, go for it. If you can't get it, that's your problem. It's 1 yard. You have James Robinson who's averaging 4, 5, 6 yards a carry every game, basically. Or you could have snuck it, which they didn't do again, but whatever. It was a bit long for a sneak, though. I don't have a problem with the go. I may have a problem with maybe a generic play call. Maybe have a fullback back there or a tight end or something. That I have a problem with. But I don't have a problem with the Jags going for it. I think it's a good idea. And not only just because they're on the 20 game losing streak and they need to do something, but like a touchdown there probably puts a nail in the coffin for the Dolphins of the game. I mean, the Dolphins, but as we know, Dolphins got the ball back, drove down, and got a touchdown, went up 20-17. Oh no, it's happening. It was my thought process. You know, I was definitely getting a little nervous at that point. But Matthew Wright, the new field goal kicker, he's kicked with them a couple times this year, somehow hit the craziest field goal I've ever seen with the craziest turn and curve I've ever seen. A 54-yard hook. It started right, what looked like it was going to miss, and just decided it was going to baseball curveball into the corner pocket. It was amazing. A 54-yard field goal to tie it. The Dolphins did have one more chance. They didn't do anything with it. And then the Dolphins had weird. So they also had a little weird fourth down play here. 4th and 1, a minute 49 to go. The game is tied. So the question is, what do? You're on your own side of the field. You missed this. Yes, the Jags have a field goal kicker problem. This is the first game of the season where they have field goal made, by the way. Oh yeah, first time since 1962 that's happened through 5 games. But the Dolphins went for it, and the Jags stopped them. I don't blame Miami. I don't know if that's the right call. See, I'm more questionable on. I'm a pretty aggressive. I would like to see coaches and teams be more aggressive on fourth downs. I really do. But this is one where I'm like, okay, I can understand the punt here. Defense played pretty well in the second half. Up to the field goal, the Jags only had a 5-play drive, 8-play where they fumbled, and a 5-play touchdown drive. I mean, the last few drives, the Jags were not moving the ball particularly well, so I can understand going for it here. But on the same point, I can understand punting. I think I don't know what the analytics say. I'm guessing it's that they agree with going for it. But from a human being perspective, I can understand both sides of the argument on that one. The Jags one, I do not agree at all with kicking the field goal on their 4th and 1. Dolphins here, it's a bit more questionable. So that's for you to decide as a person what you would want to do, and I wouldn't disagree one way or the other. I wouldn't argue one way or the other on that. After the 4th down, the Jags had a awful sequence of events. I mean, at this point, I'm just like, oh, I guess we're going overtime. On 1st down, false start. Well, shit. The tight end false start. 1st and 15. That's okay because Trevor Lawrence is going to go for a run. That's a weird play call. Pretty terrible. Oh, he loses a yard. What? 2nd and 16. Just get some yards. Oh, he got sacked for 4-yard loss. And he nearly lost the ball. That was great for him to keep hold of the ball because Agba. It's probably 3rd and 20 with 5 seconds to go in, or with 20 seconds to go. The Jags were running the clock. It seemed like they were either just going to go for a Hail Mary or something. 3rd and 20. Trevor Lawrence hit Chenault for a 12-yard gain. All right, now you're in a weird spot. It's a 62-yard field goal from where they were at. That first 54-yarder barely. There's no way that's making it from 60. But you have 5 seconds left. You have 2 timeouts. You have an option here. And maybe they should have called timeout a little bit quicker after 3rd down if this was what they were thinking. But I don't think they realized they had an opportunity. So what they ended up doing was on 4th and 8. This is the Dolphins. Everyone in the building, everyone watching at home, the Miami Dolphins themselves thought this was a Hail Mary or some sort of trick gadget play, right? What happened? They threw a quick slant to get the 1st down, called timeout immediately. 4 seconds got caught. They had 1 second left. So instead of a Hail Mary or a 62-yard field goal, neither one of which is probably going to happen, they could kick a 53-yarder. They just made a 54-yarder. Yes, it was quite crazy. But they could do this. Like, there's so going through my head, I'm like, all right, I can't believe this is happening. That was a great play call. I was like stunned by that. It did cross my mind to do that, but I didn't think there was enough time. So, 1 second to go. Matthew Wright comes out to hit his second 50-plus yard field goal in 3.5 minutes, basically. The kick is up. And it's good. It's good. It's good. I can't believe it. I am in shock. I am emotional. I have tears in my eyes from the Jaguars winning a meaningless-ass regular season game. The Jags ended the streak. In their most meaningful game in 3 years. That game they had to win. Not for playoffs. They're not making the playoffs. But for because they're gonna lose 27 straight if they lose this game. The team's lost. Urban might be fired before the next game. He still might. We don't know. Although I think at this point they'll probably stick around. At least through the season now with that win. I think if they lost this, I think it's a lot more questionable if Urban makes it through the season. If Urban makes it to week 7, quite frankly. Or week 8, which is their next game. But they won. For the first time since September of 2020, week 1, the Jacksonville Jaguars are leaving a Sunday with a victory. I don't know how many more of these we're going to get. Probably not a lot. But damn, does this one feel good. Feels good for the wrong reasons, admittedly, but it does feel good nonetheless. So going forward for the Jags, it's simple. Get better. Get the defense right. Get these players coached up. This team has played better, as I said before. It's not as embarrassing as you think. The Dolphins had almost a 20-point differential on them coming into this game. Like a worse point differential. Like, the Dolphins were terrible. The Lions are 0-6. The Jags may not even be one of the worst 3 teams in the league right now, if you actually look at how they performed. They were just embarrassing because of the losing streak. Now you're 1-5. Well, there's a few teams are 1-5, or with 1 win. You got teams like the Jets, who have been terrible for most of the season, except against Tennessee for some reason. You got the Detroit Lions, who are winless through 6, who have played pretty good at times, although they look terrible today against Cincinnati. I'm not sure. But that might be more for how good Cincinnati can be. Although Cincinnati only has 7-0 lead at halftime, but they blew up in the second. You got the Dolphins now, who are 1-5, who just look like they have no idea what they're doing at this point. You got an Eagles team who I think has 2 wins, but just are not very good. It's fun to see that the Jags aren't the worst team in the league right now. If that's over, we can stop that. They might not even be a bottom 3 worst team in the league right now. Now, if you said they were, we can probably agree with you. But they're not. Trevor Lawrence has gotten better every week. The turnover have come down. The sacks have come down. Only 2 today. Only have 7 yards of losses. There is improvement here. There's a lot of the penalties today, including a lot of false starts. That's not great. But there is improvement here. This is what we want to see. Is Urban the guy? I don't know. I still don't think so. I just think that Urban doesn't know what he's doing. And I think it's going to cost us games down the road. And I think it's already cost us games. Doesn't know what he's doing on an NFL level. I want to make that clear. He's obviously a great NCAA head coach. Although I can't stand the guy anyway. The Jags finally got off the schneid. No 0-17 for them. You can talk about that with the Detroit Lions at this point. Although I don't think they're going 0-17 either. I think Houston might look worse than Jacksonville right now with Davis Mills at quarterback. I know Houston crushed Jackson week 1. But that was with Tyrod Taylor starting, who was a much better quarterback than Davis Mills. It just is. I mean, the Houston's not good, but it was good to see today. It was... Oh, man. I'm happy. I'm genuinely happy. They did give up defense. They give up over 400 yards of offense. Not good there in an NFL game. And the offense itself actually had about 400 yards of offense, so that's pretty good. Not Urban Meyer's 250 and 250. But hey, I would take what happens today. There is, like I said, there's definitely improvement here to be had, especially on the offensive line, just the defense in general. There's there's improvement. There's a win in the column. Now we can get off that bullshit. I don't have to make rant videos, although I probably will because the Jacks suck and they're gonna keep losing. This doesn't fix. For the record, I know how happy I am right now, and I am. But I want to make something very clear. This doesn't fix all the problems the Jaguars have. This is just getting off that 20-game losing streak. This is still an embarrassing organization. Still one of the worst organizations in sports. This is still a team that is 2-20 in their last 22 games. It's not good. Still a team that has issues. And that every week it seems like Urban Meyer says something stupid or does something stupid to embarrass himself and the team. And they have injuries. This team's still not good. But now we can focus on what matters. Getting Trevor Lawrence developed properly. Feeding James Robinson. Just getting that defense better. Defense. Man. I know they've had some injuries. I know Tyson Campbell's out there, rookie corner, but they got no sacks today again. What is going on? Why can't they get sacks? I know sacks isn't the. I don't know what the QB hurry and hits numbers are. I know those matter more, but even watching the game, like, it didn't seem like they got a lot of pressure on Tua. It just didn't feel that way from when I watched. Nobody was really winning one-on-one matchups. Not even Josh Allen, who was supposed to be our best guy, the first-round pick. He doesn't look good. He shows flashes at times, and there's times like, yeah, this guy's a really good player. He just can't seem to get it right. But a win's a win, and that's what we're going to focus on today. The Jags have won. I don't care who they beat. Even they beat what could be the worst team in the league currently. They won. That's what matters. And they're in the victory column. Get to the bye week, and then let's hit the rest of the season. Let's hit the ground running for the rest of the season. That's all I got to say. I'm happy for the victory. Then we can focus on all the bigger problems later. On that note, I am Christopher with Lunchroom Syndicate. The Jags are going to the bye week, so you won't see me next week when it comes to the Jag rants. But I'll see you again soon. Until next time, deuces.